It's a roguelike with base building? Yeah. It's a base building roguelike. I featured this one in the Gaming 411 newsletter yesterday as a game that I'm pretty excited about. And how did I describe it? It is a brick-breaking, ball-fusing, base-building survival roguelike. I don't know if I came up with that or that's their official description or some combination thereof, but I kept going like, how am I going to describe this game? Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Andy B Show. It's a video game podcast. So buckle up for some video games. I'm so glad you're here. It's another week. Amazing things have been happening. And I need to tell you, yes, like right off the top here, yes, I have played the Battlefield 6 multiplayer beta. Can you beat a beta? I guess you can unlock like all of the little things that are in there. You know, you can unlock all the weapons, you can unlock all the little tiny achievements in there, and you do unlock some skins, some things that you'll get in the full game if you care about that kind of thing by playing the beta. Like it's possible, it's happening. You can do it. And I think it's been good. Like I would say that, you know, when I first started playing, I was like, I don't know, you know, I mean, it's another one of these. You've heard me say it for a couple of weeks that like, look, Battlefield needs a single player campaign. Like it just does. And it needs a good one. And I don't think I got the impression from the beta that was anything different than, yes, it's one of these and it's a good one. Like, I mean, it's kind of a big deal, right? To be able to say, yeah, it's one of those and have it feel good. You know, we're 2 months away from launching this game and it feels great. If you've ever played one of the best Battlefield games, you know, probably 2, 3, or 4, maybe Bad Company if you're into that kind of thing, it feels really good. And they picked a couple of maps that aren't too big. You know, we've been saying like, hey, the variability is so high on these Battlefield games that sometimes you're not really getting the full experience. But the maps that they dump you into during the beta, the variability is low. It feels like a Call of Duty game, but with the tanks. It feels like a Call of Duty game in the ways that matter, as far as smoothing out that multiplayer experience and always making sure that you're pretty close to the action. If you're watching on Spotify video version or on the YouTube channel right now, I'm showing some of the gameplay that I've captured from my recent foray into the Battlefield beta, most of which was around vehicles, because the on foot shooting, like the capture on it's not that exciting to me. I kind of watched back some of the clips I captured. I was like, okay, like, you know, I shot a guy, I vived a guy, gal, you know, I don't know who in the Battlefield universe, are we equal opportunity frontline warriors? I don't know. I haven't really looked at it. All of the operators that you get up front are just kind of masked combatants. You can't really see too much about them. And that's kind of what I'm saying is maybe a little bit of a challenge, which is that, you know, there's not a lot of personality. It's big war on display, right? If you're into the war, I'm going to say simulation, where you get in a tank and you got a couple of engineers, not a simulation at all, got a couple of engineers, you know, hitting you with the old repair kit live while you're, you know, flinging around, fighting around, you know, shooting anti-personnel rounds as far as you can across the map. You know, it feels good. Like it's great. But after you played a couple of rounds, you're like, okay, that was fun. It's like, I don't know, it's like some form of exercise, right? Like, hey, I did the exercise, I went out for the run, I got on the bike, I spun for 30 minutes. That was fun. I could do it some more. At some point, I'm tired of it. At some point, I need a break. There's no end. And that's just multiplayer games, to be fair. There's no end to them. And so playing them is just like, you know, are you having a good time? Do you want to keep going? Is the dopamine high? Do you feel good about things? then keep playing. Smack this button right here to go, to another round, or don't smack any button. Just randomly have another round start because you didn't get out of the queue. So if you didn't get in to the early access to the open beta, I watched Leopard on Twitch stream for a little bit so that I could get an early access key on Thursday. And I played a few rounds, and I've kind of had my fill for now. In part because yes, it's fun, but if there's a thing you're doing here, it's progressing through these levels to unlock more gear while you're having fun. The meta around the game is about opening up, filling up the bars, as we like to say. We're filling up some XP bars, and that nothing wrong with that. But it's all going to get reset. So enjoy the beta. I think there's another beta weekend coming up here soon. Nothing wrong with enjoying the beta. But I think I'm good because I've been playing a bunch of other games, which I'm absolutely going to tell you about as we go through the show today. So super glad to have you here for the Andy B Show. A couple of quick announcements at the top. Yes, a new issue of the Gaming 411 newsletter, a weekly newsletter that I put out, comes out on Saturday mornings, just in time for the cartoons to hit. Handwritten by me and your host, Andy B, or Andrew. It's up to you. We got a couple of this is the third newsletter so far. You can get it in your email just by going to patreon.com/the Andy B Show, or you can just search for the Gaming 411 newsletter. It'll pop up in Google search results. At least the sign up sheet will, and it's free. So there's some Battlefield information there. We're going to talk a little bit about Digital Foundry. It's kind of like a preview for the show. You'll hit some of the news stories we're going to talk about. For example, if you're not paying attention to it, you might miss out on things that I won't necessarily talk about in the show. But you're going to get 4 gaming news stories or trends that I'm tracking that week. One game that I wish I could play a little bit more of and why. And just an update for me. It could be anything. This week, it was about the fact that on Friday, August 15th, we're giving away an eShop gift card to anybody that signed up and part of the Patreon. If you're a free or paid member of the Patreon, you're entered to win. I'm going to randomly give it away. I'll post a little video on YouTube and share it with all of the members of the Patreon on Friday for whoever's going to win the eShop gift card. So feel free to jump in, become a member for free, and check it out. One of the games like you might have missed that I talked about just because it was super brief and it's upcoming. Matter of fact, I forgot about it preparing for the show today, getting my show notes together today, because I was like, oh yeah, that's all the games I'm going to talk about. But there is an upcoming game, and it's called Sword of the Sea. And it's coming out on August 19th. So we're less than 2 weeks away from the time that I'm recording this. And it's from the creative team behind Journey, among other games. And if you have PlayStation Plus, which is not free, then the game will be free. So it's not free. But man, this looks good. And if you really like Journey with the big sweeping landscapes and soundscapes and all these just beautiful imagery, I don't know what the story is. You're on a sword and you're in the sea. And there's a lot of fun looking jellyfish platforming. You use the sword like it's the skateboard from Back to the Future 2. You're grinding rails. You're always just a little bit above the ground. You're kind of surfing through the sea, surfing through the water or the sand and discovering things. It just looks just fun and fantastical. And it's one of the things I'm looking forward to this month. And it's not the only thing. I mean, there's a lot. But that was something that was featured in the Gaming 411. One of the note on the Patreon, if you join patreon.com/the show, you have the option to be a friend of the show. It's a paid tier of the membership, and you're going to get exclusive monthly episodes, early access episodes that have some stories that maybe I don't have time to go into every week. Because what do we cover on the show, right? We're covering these gaming news, the trends, top stories, things that are going on, the gaming that I'm doing, and then the community, you. When you're interacting with me on socials and leaving me comments, or you can leave me a voicemail, believe it or not. The link for that is on the Patreon. You have to be a Patreon member to send me a voicemail link. I want to know who you are first, at least a little bit about you. But if you send me a voicemail, I'll play it on the show. Anyway, so we cover so much between the news, games that I'm playing, or that people are playing, and then the community spotlight that the show's over before I know it. And hopefully it's wonderful for you as you're listening. So thanks for checking it out. Thanks for being a part of the Gaming 411 newsletter. And full transparency, 10 people received the Gaming 411 newsletter. You could be the 11th. Sign up. You know what I mean? Check it out. Okay. Let's get into the news. It's time. There's a lot of news, and some of these I'll spend more time on than others. We already talked a little bit about one of the games that's upcoming for this month, which is Sword of the Sea. But if you're on PlayStation, there's a ton of new stuff coming out. Mafia: The Old Country just hit. Some of the folks that I hang out with on Threads, you can follow me there at andrew.m.b, are already playing that. It looks like we're going to get, I'd say we PlayStation gamers. I play all of it. I've got Nintendo, Xbox, 2 Xboxes, and PlayStation. There's a lot of stuff in here. I think for me, it's Sword of the Sea. That's the one that I'm kind of most interested in. Don't really want to play Metal Gear Solid Delta. I love some Metal Gear Solid. But if I'm going to be playing anything that looks, smells, sounds, tastes, or has a memory of Kojima, I'm just going to be playing Death Stranding, which I'm working my way through. Though the new Shinobi for hardcore people seems pretty good. Lost Soul Aside, there was this amazing article title for Lost Soul Aside, and it said, the legally distinct title, Lost Soul Aside, is finally setting out to launch because it was so tightly woven with like Final Fantasy 15, I think. Legally distinct Final Fantasy 15 game, Lost Soul Aside, is launching this month. So if you were into like the leather and the cars and just the vibe of Final Fantasy 15, you might have a lot to like in Lost Soul Aside. It's possible. So that is that's going on. Those are games that you can play that are coming out. A game that you probably can't play that I wish we could play that it's stuck in my mental craw. There was a post from Variety that Hazardor Gaming shared. Headline: EA has multiple unannounced Disney titles in development, alongside Star Wars Jedi 3 and Iron Man. Iron Man? We're making an Iron Man game? I didn't even hear about that. That's like the first I've ever heard about it. I think the last Iron Man game I think I heard of was on like VR, right? It was the VR game that came out on PlayStation 4, and I think you can get it on MetaQuest. It's a little bit older, but you're flying around like Iron Man, but you got to be really good with not throwing up because you're going to be flying around and whipping around. So if you're somebody in the sound of my voice that knew there was an Iron Man game in development, sip of coffee for you. We'll talk about what's coming to game. Actually, let's talk about what's coming to Game Pass right now. I'm on a personal mission to look. It's not that I want to police how people speak, but if I care about it, I would like to encourage them to speak in a way that works for me. People give me feedback about how I'm doing on the show all the time. I think it's only fair that I give some other folks some feedback. So this is the image that Tom Warren posted. He was just reposting like the Xbox Wire about what games are coming soon to Game Pass. But coming soon is very different than it'll be here in August, or here are the exact dates all these games come to Game Pass, or anything useful. Coming soon is the way that Xbox likes to talk about what's coming to Game Pass, and I give them a little bit of feedback every time. It's like I've let go of a lot of words that I don't like and trying to encourage people to not use them. Not a grammar Nazi necessarily, like I'm not too worried about it, but there's certain word. Look, you've got a word. You listening to me, there's some word out there that when you hear it, you're like, and I don't know what that word is. I don't even want to tell you what mine have been in the past. I've let most of them go as I've grown and matured. I've let most of them. But this one bothers me when it just says coming soon. I'm like, when? When is soon? Coming soon to Xbox Game Pass anytime is Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is not the one that I think I've ever heard anything else about after it launched. Said it was supposed to be like a smaller Assassin's Creed, a little bit more like the first one. You know, you're not trotting the whole world. It's not the Assassin's Creed Odyssey or the Egyptian one where it just opens and opens and opens and opens. Supposed to be one hit assassinations. Supposed to be a little town, small city that you're roaming through. You kind of get to know the whole city and the routes and everything versus all of it being so big and open that you'll only see one piece of content, one place, one time. It's supposed to be pretty good. Aliens Fireteam Elite has been around. They keep shuffling that one around, these subscription services. I kind of want to know a little bit about Mech Warrior Clans, mostly because I want a great Mech Warrior game, and I don't know where to find one. Maybe that's the one. Citizen Sleeper was interesting. The first one was neat. I played it for a couple hours. It's very much like a turn-based. I don't know if it's a roguelike. I can't remember if it's a different run every time, but it's very much like text-based, turn-based, make some decisions. I bet the people that are into Fallen London would really like Citizen Sleeper, but apparently there's a second one that's coming out, and some game called Nine Kings, but it's a preview. So, I don't know. Those are the games coming soon to Xbox Game Pass, and we don't know what that means. I'll tell you what else is coming soon, including a game that has a very specific date. And it's some of these games that came out of the Nintendo Indie World presentation. There were a bunch. If you didn't watch it, this was kind of an action-packed Nintendo presentation. 15 minutes. Everybody was hoping to see Silk Song. Nope. That's the Hollow Knight sequel. Everybody was hoping to see anything that rhymed with Silk Song, but what they got was a game from the creators of Shovel Knight, which is pretty neat. That one's called Misha. Guess it's got a demo out. Does it have a demo? I haven't downloaded it. Shovel Knight was like a 2D, like hardcore game with some amazing music. This one's like a 2.5D. So to me, it looks a little bit better. I like the 2.5D a little bit more, a little more Zelda like, 16-bit Zelda like. Though it doesn't even look 16-bit almost. It still kind of looks 8-bit somehow with the art style that they have. That one looks interesting. I guess I wrote down that there's a demo, but I did not. Okay, demo available today. It said it. It said it right in the video. There were some other things. There was one called Well Dweller, which is to borrow the Jeff Gerstmann phrase, it's not a Metroidvania, it's a search action game. Because you're going to search and there's action moves that you perform. So I'm going to, in solidarity with Jeff Gerstmann, try and never say the word Metroidvania ever again. I really want it to be search action. Though I almost want to come up with a better one, but I know he's worked really hard on that one. So search action is going to be what Well Dweller is going to be about. So Crypt Custodian, if you don't remember, it is not quite as creepy despite the name as this one is. But see, when you see this map, when you see that Metroid huge Castlevania map, that's why people call it Metroidvania. You have to unlock and go back and search these, little nooks and crannies of the map out for abilities, and you unlock abilities using action to let you go search more of the map. But Metroidvania and Castlevania, not everybody plays Castlevania or knows what Metroid is anymore. It's kind of like the save button looking like the old, 3.5-inch floppy icon. So yeah, search action from the people that did Crypt Custodian. Um, that one looks pretty good. There's another one called Is This Seat Taken, which seems like the kind of like little happy puzzle sorting game where people have these little icons. I don't know if they're eggs or shapes or what. There's little icons that you need to sort and place around different cafes and different venues to make them happy. And you'll have to kind of sort them around to make it work out. And it looks really cute, and it's out for like $10. So some of these indie games that are coming out are just priced just right. The one for me, though, the absolute one for me, no doubt about it, is one that looks like it's titled Ball X Pit, but it's Ball Pit. And it's a roguelike with base building. Yeah. It's a base building roguelike. I featured this one in the Gaming 411 newsletter yesterday as a game that I'm pretty excited about. And how did I describe it? It is a brick breaking, ball fusing, base building survival roguelike. I don't know if I came up with that or that's their official description or some combination thereof, but I kept going like, how am I going to describe this game? But the ball breaking is definitely like just like all the old arcade games of the past. You're kind of, throwing the balls and banging them around to create damage. But man, there's a lot of stuff going on in this game. And I'm not playing the music on it right now, but it's got some pretty good sound and music too. And it's got an official date, October 15th, which is my birthday. So October 15th, I'm going to be playing some Ball Pit. You better believe it. So check it out. Check out the Nintendo Indie World. Those were like 3 games I thought looked pretty interesting, or maybe 4 with Misha, Well Dweller, Is This Seat Taken, and Ball Pit. There's some other games in there. I'm like, that's not for me. But for 15 minutes, I think they must have shown like 10 or 12 games. Pretty good. What else is going on in the news? Okay. I almost want to save this one for later. I almost don't want to even talk about it because it just. Do you remember the game Threes? Threes was a game that came out. It was like this indie developed game. It was an app on the iPhone, and it was beautiful. A beautiful little self contained app. No ads, no microtransactions. This is before Apple Arcade, which famously you pay them a subscription. You get no ads, you get no microtransactions. It's great for the kids because I know they're not getting a bunch of advertisements or a bunch of pushes for monetization or game designs that push monetization. Well, Threes pre Apple Arcade was a matching game where you would, I think they start you with like 2 ones, and then you make a 2. And when you match the 2 together, it's like on a 3x3 or a 5x5 grid. And 2 numbers pop up and you smush them together, and then another one pops up. And then you keep smushing them together to make bigger numbers. Uh, and suddenly you're making like incredibly large numbers, thousands. Each little block is now thousands. And so that's all you do. You just go get your high score, you share it with your friends, you move on. But it had pleasant music, beautiful little design. I'm not great with colors and design theory myself, but it was really nice to see. And then a clone came out called 2048. And it's the same game design, same game structure. But it was free to play. You didn't have to pay your $5 or $7 or whatever they were charging for Threes in the App Store. So you could just download it for free, and you basically had the same gameplay. It looked like garbage in comparison. The music wasn't as good. It was not as charming or whimsical, but it had the same like gameplay loop that a lot of people liked. But they were hitting you up with microtransactions and ads. So they had like done a little soft murder on what someone had created in Threes. And who is going to spend, $8 if they don't know? They don't know that this, developer had been a little indie developer and, done the best they could to make their best little game and sell it for $8. And it was getting all this like indie darling, feel, and everybody cared about it. They didn't know that. They just went, oh, my kid wants to play Threes, or I want to play Threes. Oh, this one's free. Let me play the free one. There's a new game coming out that's also getting ripped off. Developers of the hit indie co-op climbing game Peak have lashed out at people making copies of their games on other platforms. So this comes to us from Dextero. And man, you want to talk about some ads on this page? If you're watching this live, you better get ready to get advertised for Sour Patch Kids, which is one of the best candies. Anyway, Dextero's got the article here. Jessica Philby published this last week. They basically said, hey, stop copying our game. And actually, if you like our game, consumer, and you'd rather go play the free copy that people are putting out, the slop copy, they're like, just pirate ours instead. We'd rather you just steal our game than give anybody else that's stealing our game design money. It's a pretty hardcore statement. And where was it happening? People are putting their game, essentially this little climbing game, they're building it in Roblox. They called it a Roblox slop ripoff. And there is an unbelievable amount of development time and energy, and actually small little, and maybe sometimes big development studio houses that are putting development into making games within a game of Roblox. Fortnite does this too, to an extent, where you can play community maps, community game types. But they basically said, hey, like, we're going to give you this bad version of the game. You want to play Peak? You want to play a co-op climbing game? We'll put it in Roblox. So somebody built it in Roblox, and they called it Cliff, and they are just mad about it. I'd rather play the extremely reasonable $8 it costs to have one of the best co-op games I've ever played, but that's just me, one of the game's fans said. Peak's cost is much less than the average price of games at the moment. Many fans are happy just to buy the original game. Others are calling for the developer Aggro Crab to appeal to Roblox to ban the game and remove the group or copyright strike the game. But at the time of this writing, Cliff is still active on Roblox. So it's not going away. This problem has been around for years and years. And, a lot of people say, well, what is an idea? What is gameplay? Can you copyright a gameplay idea? Is that even possible to do? But Sony just sued Tencent, I think, over a game that they've got. I think it's Tencent. Let me find it. There it is. From Reuters. Sony sues Tencent for allegedly ripping off Horizon video games. And I don't know if Reuters is actually going to show any screenshots of this. I might have to go somewhere else. Yeah, they're not going to show it. Sony said that video game journalists have characterized the Tencent game Light of Motiram as a knockoff of Horizon and asked the court for an unspecified amount of monetary damages and an order blocking Tencent from violating its intellectual property rights. Okay. Like, you have to see what this game actually looks like the back and forth on the game. Because when you see what it looks like before and after, or just before, I don't know what it's going to look like after, because apparently Tencent took it down. So here it is from Reddit. The Horizon Zero Dawn video game is known for this beautiful, post-apocalyptic landscape that's been around long enough to like regrow all the trees, but it has these huge robots in it. Huge robots. And it's key to the story as to why that's the case. But then Light of Motoram looks basically the same. Like almost the cover art, if you will, for the game it's Horizon Zero Dawn. And even when you look at the main character, this is the complaint. This is from the complaint for copyright and trademark infringement. That looks like Aloy to me. Those robots look like Horizon Zero Dawn robots to me. And I will see if the court agrees. Is a small indie studio really going to have the resources like Sony does to take somebody to court over it? For Climb, for Threes, the answer is no. So people get away with stuff, and it's sad. It's really sad. It's sad that people get away with just stealing things when you can do things instead, like license amazing properties such as. I can't believe we're about to talk about this. Such as in Fortnite, which is the only multiverse we really have, if you think about it in terms of the Steven Spielberg movie, where all of the old properties come together. Yes, that's right. It's the Power Rangers in Fortnite, which I guess just kicked off August 7th. I uploaded or re-downloaded Fortnite because I gotta know. And the trailer that they put out for it, if you watched, the last time I watched Power Rangers was in the 90s. I guess they're still making them. They're still doing something for decades afterwards. I just learned that the Power Rangers show was licensed in such a way, the original, I don't know if it was all the seasons, but the original show, maybe the first season at least, all of the martial arts stuff where they're in full costume was the from Japan. And then they cut in the American actors. And the American actors didn't do any helmet on fighting until way later because they had all of the footage. Why would they spend money to re-record it? Which is a very like anime and Japanese show style thing, right? Like let's make something that looks incredible, that's very stylized, and do it for a super reasonable amount of money. And they recreated the look of this in this Fortnite trailer. So if you haven't checked that out yet, uh, maybe you don't like fun and joy. Um, maybe you just don't like Fortnite, which actually is reasonable and okay. But like Battlefield 6, Fortnite is the kind of thing where it's like going for a run. It's like, well, if you play it and you're enjoying it, great. But at some point, you're like, when is there a story I can finish here? Like it's just filling up bars. At some point, it's just filling up bars. Couple other quick headlines here. We do have confirmation that the Call of Duty Black Ops 7, not the teaser trailer, but the actual reveal is going to happen at opening night live, which is for Gamescom. So when is Gamescom? Gamescom, like it feels like the summer of games. Like E3 is gone, but summer still hasn't ended. It's still going on. Gamescom used to be just like a super developer focused thing, I feel like. But anyway, it's coming this August 20th through the 24th. And they're going to show way more of Call of Duty Black Ops 7. So we're getting some big like multiplayer games, but like I've been saying over the past few weeks, Call of Duty, as much as it is about the multiplayer, it sells to the wider audience with cool story. And the teaser trailer that they had is showing all this tech and this actor that I absolutely recognize, but I can't remember his name. And there's this butterfly flying around. You're like, okay, is he with it? What's happening? And the butterfly screen like changes and cracks and like, what's going on? Are we all sane? Like, are we getting mind control plot lines? Like, it's very, military, not James Bond, but there's just twists and turns to the action. And this one looks very sci-fi. There's like floating buildings in space. There's cyberpunk stuff going on. It's got this Inception world wrapping where the city's wrapping in on itself, visual effects going on. There's a lot to it. And it is the intriguing thing that Battlefield is missing. If you're into war, Battlefield is looking pretty good. And if you're into playing multiplayer games where you're like, well, I'll just play that for another hour, sure. Okay, you're doing great. But if you want a weird, like cool story, I feel like Call of Duty is the one that's prepped to deliver. So we'll see more about that in a couple of weeks, less than a few weeks. Man, the news stories keep coming. I gotta save some of this stuff. But that's the thing with the news. There's no saving it. Let's keep rolling. We reported last week about the Microsoft financials and basically how the hardware was way down. but everything else was way up. Nobody's buying that. Not nobody, but less people are buying the Xbox hardware. Here it is from Sony. They're showing their financial statement here. PS5 shipments top 80 million, which I guess is a little less, they said, than thanks Hazador Gaming. He pulled it from Gamatsu. I think that the PS5 and PS4, like PS5 is a little bit behind. But look, times have been rough. When the PS4 was out, we were in the boom in the 2010s, man. Hardware was cheap, it was easy to get. It kept getting less expensive. Now hardware is getting more expensive. It's harder to get. Just like we said last week with the Nintendo price increases, there's tariffs. So it's harder to get. But look, PS5 hardware not down 22% like Microsoft, up 4%. Software up 23%. Operating income up 127%. Game and network services up 8%. And PSN monthly active users increased 6% from 116 million to 123 million. That's a, again, for a pretty mature market. I definitely get like PC gamer people going like, PC is the only market that's growing. These console markets aren't growing. It's like, okay, I admit to you that they're probably saturated. Most of the people that want to get a console have at least one that they want. Most, but they are growing it. It's still growing. Somebody said, "Oh, millennials, elder millennial here." Hello. Somebody said, "Oh, millennials, you're not the target market anymore." And I was like, "That's where you're wrong, bucko." Because we've got more money than time than we did when we were kids. When you're kids, you got all the time, no money. And it's a beautiful time to be a child that wants to play video games all the time. No money, you go play these free to play games. You go play Fortnite, which is free. Power Rangers. Nuts. Didn't have that when I was a kid. Or you can, get just one subscription. You play 100 games. Yeah, that when I was a kid. So now I've got the ability to spend some discretionary funds on gaming, just not enough time to play. So that's the hard part about being an adult. That's why, in a lot of ways, people that listen to this show, and me especially, spend a lot of time being samplers of games where, you don't know how every game's going to go. So you get these subscriptions and you sample a bunch of games. You download the demos, you try them. And if you buy a game and it's not perfect, you go, well, no. But it's made it that all these companies are making it easier than ever to sample these games. And that's pretty great. It's a pretty great time to be a gamer of any age, really. It's a pretty great time to be Digital Foundry, which is the most trusted name in game console analysis. Coming to us from The Verge. I watch these folks' videos. Digital Foundry videos, DF. They say now, we answer to nobody but you, the audience. Decade and a half, Eurogamers, Digital Foundry, has become the most knowledgeable and trustworthy place to find out just how powerful a new video game console might be, or even how like the games run, right? But they're no longer a Eurogamer sub-brand, no longer controlled by IGN, according to Sean Hollister here. Digital Foundry's founder has purchased the publication and its complete archives, and a team of 5, the folks that you see and hear on the videos on YouTube, are taking it completely independent. So we've got Giant Bomb going totally independent. We've got Digital Foundry going totally independent. And of course, the Andy B Show going totally independent. Started independent. I'm still independent. I only answer to you, my patreon.com/the Andy B Show subscribers. That's who I answer to. So yeah, this is a big deal if you're into watching games, game breakdown review videos where they're like, well, how well does it run really between these consoles? How well does it run on PC versus Steam Deck versus Xbox Series S versus PlayStation 5? If you are a multi-platform gamer and care about that kind of thing, hey, especially when all these games are doing their Switch 2 editions or they're upgrading to do a new performance edition. And I'm sure that their boom and bust cycle comes when there's new consoles being announced and launched. But I probably watch a Digital Foundry video, every week or so. I bet. Yeah, let's move on. Congratulations to the Digital Foundry folks. Kind of a big deal. I mean, one more thought on that, which is that IGN, and I'm not going to besmirch IGN. We show their articles here in the show. But anytime somebody is trying to review a game and get advertising dollars from the people that publish the game, it creates an inherent, like, chronic little conflict, right? Which is the publisher wants the game review to be amazing. Uh, and then the people that are reviewing the game don't want the pressure to have to, make a review that isn't accurate. They want to be, known as tough critics. And sometimes it doesn't always work out. Sometimes there's these conflicts that come up. And maybe not at IGN, certainly at different places across the internet. It's happened over the years where a review score might get moved or not moved, and a publisher might get happy or unhappy about that. And it's just better for it to be independent. It's just better. Digital Foundry, I don't think that I've ever seen, because they look at the footage and they zoom in way close to show all the flaws or what's working well. And but if they were under a deep amount of pressure, there might be somebody that would pressure them to, like, maybe not zoom in far enough and see what the graphical fidelity is actually like. And they don't need that kind of pressure. They just need to be free to be able to comment on the games and do the breakdowns just the way that they want to. Speaking of doing the breakdowns just the way that you want to, sometimes people are really into these photo modes in games because you can do some incredible stuff with it. And one of the folks that, I don't know if we're friends, I follow him. He follows me back. That guy, Jakey Gaming, is out of the UK, and he put together something that I was like, oh, I should share this with all of you. He put together a Death Stranding 2 on the beach, how to capture stunning photos in photo mode video. And it really is, like, it's not going to show you much of Death Stranding 2. He just kind of puts his character, Sam Porter Bridges, out there, on this cliff somewhere, but then gives you a really solid breakdown. If you've never had it before, if you've never had a college class before on how to light a photo and what lighting does to change the photo, how do you set up lighting that makes a good photo? How do you set up framing and composition? I don't know if he's, like, really into, just photography, or if it's just the way it worked out for this video. He just got excited to do it. But he basically makes one photo over the course of 20 minutes, showing you all of the options that are in the Death Stranding 2 photo creator, and comes up with a really amazing photo at the end. And I'm just going to bounce around the video a little bit here, because the value of the video is not the photo that he shows at the end. It's how does he get there, and how do you become a better in-game video photographer? Jack Quaid probably could teach a video like this. If you don't know, actor Jack Quaid is known for, like, showing his in-game video photography. He loves taking video game photographs, basically, is what it is. He posts them all the time. It's so funny to see him because he was in The Boys and Novocaine, which I haven't watched, but it's on my list, where he kind of looks like Max Payne. Actor Jack Quaid. Anyway, Jakey goes through all of the options, explains everything that's in here, like, really goes deeply into it. Probably spends about 6, 7, 8 minutes just on the photo mode tabs. Then talks about, like, hey, let's create the photo, right? Let's position people. Here's how to do it. Here's how to, make the AI work. And one of the craziest things about the way the lighting works is that they have these curves and directions to the lighting. And the way that Kojima made the photo mode work is you could see the direction of the lighting, where it's going to place the lighting, where it's going to move, and how that's going to change how shadow and light work. And he just really puts on a masterclass. So, I don't want to talk about it too much during this, but I found it interesting. Just something out there in the community that folks might like. He ends up making a really great background, like a vertical background for your phone as a result of this. So check out his video if you want to learn a little bit more about how to make photos in Death Stranding 2, or maybe anything. A couple of TV things I'm kind of interested in that are coming up. I think sometime in the next month or two, Alien Earth is maybe coming out. I don't know if I can handle alien movies anymore. But it's like a TV show, but it looks like a movie. Too scary, probably. The next Office is coming out, which is not called The Office. But as an elder millennial, I'm a big fan of The Office, and I can't wait to make the follow up, the in universe follow up to The Office called The Paper, my whole personality. It's going to be pretty great. So they're acting like the documentary crew that followed Dunder Mifflin around for years is now going to follow around The Paper, which is not selling paper. It's they work for the Toledo Truth Teller, and it's going to follow a whole new crew around, that folks that work there and volunteer for the paper. But for some reason, Oscar Martinez, the character Oscar Martinez, is also working at the paper now, and he is not happy about the new documentary crew being there. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think The Office is just a classic show for me. Big fan. Okay, that's really all the news, but let me just tell you something. There's a ton of video games left to talk about because I actually played a bunch of video games this week. I was off this last week, so for me, it was like, well, spent a lot of time with the family, a lot of time with the kids, doing things around the house. But I played some video games, and we're going to talk about them. So let's take a break, come right back, talk video games. I'm all out of coffee. All that's left is whatever is in this ghost energy drink, an electric limeade. But I'm ready to talk about some of the games that I've been playing. Maybe you've been playing some of these games too. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's get into it. We talked about Battlefield 6 already, and there's like one more thing to say about Battlefield, but we'll save it for the community feedback section. But one of the games I spent a little bit of time kind of playing and sampling this week was one that I've spent a lot of time with already, which is Hades. Hades, from the people that brought you Transistor. We'll talk about Transistor in a minute. Is a wild 2.5D roguelike. If you don't know about it yet, I'm surprised, but it's possible that you don't. Basically, you play like the son of the Greek god Hades. Whoever rules the underworld, is that still a god in the Greek pantheon? Anyway, you are trying to get out. You're his son, and you're trying to leave Hades and get out there to, be with who apparently is your family. Maybe Zeus is your dad. Like we don't really know. Your mom is somebody. I forget. I've beaten this game before. I've actually beaten Hades. I've gotten to the end and seen credits run, but um, the way the game works is there's story way after the end, and the story and the voice acting in this game is so good that you'd almost be surprised that it's that good because the gameplay is also so good. It's a roguelike, so every time you make a run, it's a little bit different, and you level up some permanent things along the way to make sure that every run that you go on is just a little bit easier to get a little bit further. They're all still hard, but you unlock new weapons, new abilities, and you talk to Ares, the god of war. So like everybody's calling you on this like godlike cell phone where you're way down at the bottom of the four layers of hell or whatever. I don't really know everything I need to know about Greek mythology I probably learned from this game. So it's all stylized. um Everybody's got the hots for each other in this game as well, but it's a lot of fun. The gameplay is great. The sound is great. This is running on the Switch 2. It's not a Switch 2 exclusive game. It's been around for a few years. The second game is about to come out. Hades 2 is an early access on PC and is coming. They've said console exclusive to Switch 2, but it's not available just yet. So still waiting on that. But between wanting to play Hades 2, but not yet buy it, kind of trying to wait for it to come out on the Switch 2, and then wanting to play some Transistor, I was like, maybe I'll fire up the old Switch version, but I don't have um, I don't have my save file. I think this game was on Xbox Game Pass for a while, and so that's where I beat it. And I had dozens of hours of gameplay, many runs and deaths through that game on Xbox. But then it's not on Game Pass anymore. And so my save now they have cross saves, but that old save is orphaned. Like I can't get to it anymore. It's funny. Okay, it's not the only roguelike I played this week though. I also put a little bit of time yesterday into a game called Endless Dungeon. Endless Dungeon is free on PlayStation Plus right now, and I described it as a twin stick roguelike turret defense 2.5D co-op shooter. And that's what it is. Though you don't have to play the co-op. You're on this like abandoned space station, and you're trying to get out, and things keep changing and shifting as they do in roguelikes. But it kind of like looks like aliens, but it's stylized almost like if Blizzard did aliens, like if Blizzard came up with character designs for aliens. You know, I think it kind of looks like that. They give them some personality and some fun. It's not quite as much personality as Hades, though. Like I'm looking for a little more. Maybe it's early on, but from the first second that you're playing Hades, things are amazing. Like you're into the characters like right away. And with this, it was like you know, it was a little bit like nothing matters and all these characters could die at any time. And so whatever. And so it just waited a little too long to try and get you to connect with the cast of characters. And also, apparently, you're not just one character. You can play any of them. In the single player, you can swap between two or three of them. You can unlock an ability to have three people on the floor with you, fighting your way down or up the vertical station. I can't remember which. I assume you go down. Most dungeoning, you go down. Um, but they have like a cast of characters that are like always hanging out at this weird celestial, immortal, time doesn't matter bar because we always just like respawn here when we die. So I think they did a pretty good job of this. I think Sega published this. I forget the developer that made it, but it's got a nice look. The guns feel punchy. The you get a super that you can fire off, and the one for the main the first character. I don't know if it's the main character, but the first character you unlock has this like ice blast that he can push out and slow enemies down. But basically, you're trying to move this generator around the floor. And so you can go anywhere in the floor, and there'll be monster spawn zones. And in every room that you enter, you'll end up with some more resources. And when you get the resources, you can build turrets. And so you're building turret defense between where your uh, whatever it's called. Let me see the crystal, whatever the little thing is. There's a little robot that follows you around. I can't remember what it's called, and it has to come with you. So it is locked in until such time as you call it to come with you. And once you call it, all the monsters start swarming. All the monsters might start swarming at any time, but you can build a turret defense to go, okay, I know the monsters are going to be in this room and they're going to make their way down to, my generator or whatever the darn thing is. Can't remember the name. The crystal bot. No wonder I can't remember what it's called. The crystal bot is the thing you have to protect no matter what. And if the crystal bot explodes, you're out. You respawn back in the bar, space bar. So yeah, you have a pretty good like feel of like how monsters are going to move towards the crystal bot because you start at the crystal bot and you slowly work your way out and explore the floor. But at some point, you have to call the crystal bot to a new space, and when you do that, it'll be traversing a path that may not have the optimal amount of turrets, defenses, shields, flamethrowers, or whatever else you've set up. So there's the danger zone, and that's when your character really has to get involved, or your cast of characters. So I think it's really interesting. It doesn't seem like you have to play it in co-op, though that's probably ideal, but I don't know. I haven't played it in co-op. That's pretty interesting to me, if you have friends to play it with, or you just like playing video games. I'll tell you what I like. I like playing video games. And for the first time in a while, I streamed the video game this week called Transistor. I mentioned just a minute ago that we played Hades, which is by the folks that made Transistor. And here is actual Transistor. This is me doing a live stream playthrough. I've never played this game all the way through. I've never beaten Transistor. I've never played it for more than a few minutes. And it's sad. I was like, I got to fix this. So this is me doing a live stream, and you can watch it. I think it's like 40 minutes out there. I'm a rank amp. Look, I've been podcasting for a while, and I've still got plenty to learn, but I'm a rank amateur at streaming, and it's a good thing not too many people found me during the live stream. So I don't have the best setup for it. Like I've got a Mac Mini, which this runs on great. But I know a lot of folks that have these like super powerful PCs. They're streaming in vertical mode to get like people that will come in from the shorts mobile view, and they're streaming in horizontal mode, widescreen, so that it looks good for the video on demand. I'll put you can find the video on demand for this in the latest Gaming 411 newsletter, or just go to my YouTube, search for the Andy B Show, and it'll pop up. But I'm going to make it a series. I plan to play the whole game this way, actually. Maybe I'll do one a week, something like that. Um, and I would love to have you join me if you want to come hang out and see it. But yeah, Transistor looks, if you were looking at the Hades footage earlier, it looks a lot like Hades, except it's cyberpunk, but of the, golden age or whatever. Like it doesn't, it looks very much like a Art Deco cyberpunk. And you play this woman named Red who has a talking sword. We don't know who's in the sword. I mean, you might if you've already played Transistor. I don't know. I don't know who's in there. But the sword's always talking to you and teaching you how to play the game. And you can pause time, and you have a certain amount of action points represented by a bar at the top of the screen. Time is paused, and you can move, and it'll eat up some of the bar. You can take actions or stack up actions in time, and it'll take up bigger chunks of the bar to use your specials. But that way you can line up certain shots in, with paused time and hit multiple enemies in one go, which is pretty cool. It's got a really good feeling to it. The music is amazing, and you do care about the character like right out of the gate. Got like a really good narration to it with the talking sword. So that's a pretty cool game for me. I'm definitely and for me it was a lot of fun to do live streaming. I still got a little bit of setup to tweak, and I don't have all the professional stuff, and I don't care. I'm just going to set up the live stream and do it for me. It's fun to try and talk about, narrate, react to the game while I'm playing it. It's very different, but it takes a lot more energy, right? Like I get hungry. Like you, when you're sitting there narrating and talking about what's going on in the game versus just kind of like quietly playing. Yes, I'm squished up in my reclining chair. It's just a very different vibe. Feel free to check it out. Transistor full playthrough part one on the YouTube channel. I've been playing some Picross. I know you're surprised. Actually, I'm almost done with Picross, Sega Genesis and Master System version of the Picross game. There's like 300 puzzles that come with it. 150 of them are regular Picross puzzles. 150 are mega puzzles. And I'm on the last page of the regular puzzles. So I got the mega puzzles to do. They're going to get harder. But like once I've done all the puzzles in it and the color puzzles, which I like to do with my youngest kid, I'll probably call it done and then move on to the next one, because I've been kind of itching to move on to this game that got recommended to me by somebody that's also into nanograms. And this is my Nintendo wish list. If you're watching on video, I'm showcasing it. Oh, a note. I've got Overcooked 2 on this wish list, which I'm going to remove because it turns out Overcooked All You Can Eat is on PlayStation Plus, which is Overcooked, Overcooked 2, and all the DLC. And as a PlayStation Plus subscriber, it's free. But anyway, Voxelgram is like a 3D, like a 3D version of Picross. And there's been Picross games that are 3D I think on the 3DS, but I never played those. I don't know. I just missed them. And anyway, this one looks pretty good. Like if you're into voxels and grams, if you're into nanograms, if you're into um, Picross puzzles, and you're willing to bend your mind a little bit, I guess you make these little puzzles. You make them in 3D, and I'm sitting there going like, I mean, how does this even work? Because I'm so used to seeing it in a 2D space. How does it even work in 3D? But I mean, there it is. They're doing it. And you make the little 3D puzzles, and everything you make, like maybe you make a flower, maybe you make a chair, maybe you make a window covering, it puts it into these little dioramas. And so you're going to build the diorama out, which I really like the idea of. And we got to get hoofing here. Coming up on an hour in this show. One last game I played this week before we get to Community Spotlight And it was Liza P. We've been talking about Liza P a fair bit. Here's some of my journey in Liza P. I shared this on threads where you can follow me at andrew.m.b. I said, my Liza P journey. I beat the first boss. I told my first lie. And I learned that Liza P is what happens if Will Smith wasn't there to intervene in iRobot. It's basically the iRobot game. Like, that's the story. Maybe there's more to it than that, but like, yes, Geppetto, the puppet master, is out there. Yes, technically you're Pinocchio. Yes, it's a Souls game where you're fighting big bad monsters, all of which seem to be puppets in this game. Maybe there's things that aren't other puppets that show up later, probably. But yeah, I'm fighting this big parade master puppet. It's the first boss that I beat. And it looks really rough and tough, and it is. But I did turn the difficulty down. I did turn it down. They give you an option. Most Souls games do not give you an option to turn down the difficulty. This one does. And I think it's really going to win them a lot of fans. A lot of people that wouldn't have played it because it would be too hard are going to play this game where you are Pinocchio. A young Korean designed Pinocchio, because it's inviting. You can play it. It's still like a dark universe, you know. But I made it past the first boss. I made it to Hotel Krat, which apparently is a place that you'll go back to again and again, and you have to lie to get inside. So I told my first lie, which makes your puppet gears kind of crank in a certain way. And apparently, if you tell enough lies, there's some painting on the wall. I haven't found it yet. There's a bunch of locked rooms in Hotel Krat. So I haven't seen all of them yet. But it asks you, like, are you a human or are you a puppet? And you say, well, if you say you're a puppet, they won't let you in. But if you, because the puppets all went crazy, like in iRobot, all the puppets went crazy. And like in iRobot, they all have rules, like they can't lie and they can't harm humans. This is basically iRobot. But I liked iRobot. I thought it was a great movie, actually. And if Will Smith hadn't been there, this is what we would have turned into. So I've been enjoying Lies of P. It is, you know, like I said, it's kind of a darker game. It's still not easy, even on easy, because Souls games are so hard that even on easy, you're like, man, I really got to watch my, you know, watch my toes, watch my P's and Q's. Get it? P. Yeah, it's very difficult. The game is still unforgiving on easy, but I can tell, having played enough of these Souls games, I can tell that it's pretty forgiving on the current setup of easy mode. There's an even easier mode. There's like a super easy mode where it's like, don't worry about combat at all, like at all. And I was like, well, I don't want to go there. So you know, I'll go there if I have to. But this is working out for NeoWiz. NeoWiz, the developer, says Liza P, according to their financial report, continues to be a huge success for the studio. They achieved a record high sales in Q2, driven by the DLC launch, and they're going to make a sequel. So it's like, it's working out, and people that are into the game are coming out of the woodwork, like, to kind of cheer me on and go, like, you know, don't worry about turning the difficulty down. Like, don't worry about it. Like, play how you want to play, which I think is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for not judging me. Yeah, it's been great. But it is, you know, not for kids. Even still, even though it's mostly like robots and stuff, like it's M-rated for a reason. Okay, that brings us to community spotlight. You know, we're getting towards the end of the show, but there was some community spotlight to talk about, and a lot of it was around Liza P and one thing from Battlefield 6. But since we're on Liza P as a topic, I guess I just wanted to show, like, hey, yeah, I put out there on threads, I was like, I admit it, I went down a difficulty level, and I feel pretty good about it. Here we go. Taniqual, forget how you pronounce. I follow him. We follow each other. He said that's exactly why the option is there. I love challenging games, but my severe visual impairment makes Souls-like games especially difficult for me to play at times, especially as I've gotten older. Play whatever gives you the most enjoyment. Phenomenal game, by the way. Who else had something to say about it? Uh, uh, Fandabia Gaming. Is it Fandabig Gaming or Fandabia Gaming? We've been hanging out on threads. He says they didn't have that option when I last played it. I might have to load it back up and change it to easy and do the last 15 minutes. So he had played through the entirety of the game. Liza P got stopped by the final boss. It was just suddenly too hard. And then he watched the end. It was so hard that he got so frustrated he stopped playing the game. And he watched the ending on YouTube. So he's finally going to be able to go finish it himself. Pretty exciting. Light Gian said the challenge is good, but if it's the first time and you can't continue, it's okay to lower the difficulty level. Thank you. I still remember when I think it was the first Ninja Gaiden game back on the Xbox. If they had a lower difficulty option, but they made you wear like a little pink bow, which is like a little much. Like it was very 25 years ago. It was very like gendering the difficulty in games. It was kind of toxic, and so all these people are pretty excited about it. Grant J. Allen says, careful posting about this online. The gaming police might show up to your house and revoke your real gamer card. First of all, my real gamer card is unrevocable. I'm the one passing them out, including counterfeits. Some people say the Liza P is visually impressive, favorite Souls-like. That's why the difficulty options exist, says Gamer by Mistake. I hope you enjoy it now. And Mr. Smith 666 says, you finally made the decision, because I was going back and forth on whether to set the difficulty low. Good for you. Have fun. I'm going to do the same. So there's a lot, like people were coming out of the woodwork to go like, not only is Liza P a great game, but good for you. Like, don't let the difficulty bother you. Just play the game if you want to enjoy it. And so I did. I post some of the shorts from the show on YouTube as reels, on TikTok, and on Instagram. And this one, I was talking about a Battlefield 6 needs a great single player campaign from about 2 weeks ago. And Silent One Pinoy said, good Lord, I believe you're the only person on YouTube that has addressed the single player campaign. Yes, I've played the multiplayer portion of Battlefields and I'm decent at best. Don't sell yourself short. However, they said, I'm an OG and absolutely do not have the reflexes like the millions of teens and young adults have. The one thing that I and many other players have been asking for is the memorable protagonist that becomes the mascot, if you will, for the franchise. I'll say this for the billionth time. Battlefield needs its Soap, Price, Mason, and Ghost. And if you've been following Call of Duty for a while, those are all like very recognizable Call of Duty characters. And they absolutely do. They need it. Yeah, for sure. Also for Community Spotlight, just a thank you. A little thank you to everybody in the United Kingdom that listens to the show. Turns out 3.4% of my listeners on Spotify and Apple Podcasts come from the UK. Also, thank you to the 10% of my listeners who are women. Thanks for bringing down the pure testosterone of this audience just a smidge. Too much of a sausage party around here. Thanks for being here. 10% is a lot in some gaming. Like it, who finds the show, who discovers me. On threads, they will give you like information on like who's in your audience, like who's interacting with you. And it's more like 40% women. So it's like 60 to 40, 60-40 split between men and women that, you know, that tell Instagram and threads what their gender is. But according to Spotify, like how many people sign into Spotify and go, yes, I will select my gender preference, you know, or not preference, not a dating site. You know what I mean? What, you know, self-identify. But enough did to where it says 10% of my listeners are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts are women. So good to have you out there. Hello. So that's the show, everybody. We did it. We talked about a lot. The news, the games, the community. We talked about Battlefield, of course. Some games that are coming up that I'm pretty excited about, including Sword of the Sea, Ball Pit, which comes out on my... Power Rangers are back in Fortnite, which I think is kind of neat. Yes, Battlefield beta. Yes, there's another weekend, but yes, there's also Call of Duty. We're going to learn more about the single player and probably multiplayer soon here at Gamescom. If you want to figure out how to take a photo in Death Stranding, you can go to that guy, Jakey. Check him out. Check that video out. And what have I been playing, right? We talked about that. Hades, Transistor, a lot of those super giant games. but also Picross, and of course, a ton of Liza P. So thank you to everybody that's reached out. Your community feedback, your your subscribes means so much to me. I appreciate it. And what are we going to talk about next week? I mean, yes, I'm probably going to play some more Transistor, some Liza P. And there's probably going to be more gaming news and stories than like I can really fit into an hour around here. But you know what? It's not about fitting it into the bun. We could just get more buns. There's no limit on how long this podcast can be. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye-bye.